The briefing room fell silent when Commander Heron slammed the data pad onto the table and declared, "The humans want to fix the sun." The gathered representatives of the Galactic Coalition exchanged uneasy glances, their array of bioluminescent skin patterns and sensory organs flickering in universal confusion. Heron, a veteran of centuries of interstellar diplomacy, rarely showed emotions, but even he couldn't hide the bewildered twitch of his tail. "They said it's routine," he continued, "something their engineers handle all the time." Routine wasn't the word anyone would have chosen for stabilizing the dying star of Zarth 4, a cosmic titan teetering on the brink of supernova. The sun's collapse threatened not only the Zarna system, but also 3 nearby sectors housing billions of lives. A crisis task force was expected to assemble the coalition's most advanced minds for careful, decade-long planning. Yet somehow, the humans, relatively new to the galactic stage, had mused their way into the operation and submitted a proposal titled "We Got This." Ambassador Fricks of the Zarks clutched the edges of his hover podium with all 4 of his appendages, his crystalline carapace shimmering in distressed tones of green. "Have they done this before?" "Not on this scale," Heron admitted, folding his arms. But they insisted their track record speaks for itself. Representative Orland of the Tyre huffed, his feathery plumage puffing out in agitation. "These humans are reckless. They claim to have tamed black holes and deflected planetary collisions. I've reviewed the reports. Their methods, if you can even call them that, rely on risk, improvisation, and luck." A deep rumble came from the corner of the room, where Garoth, the towering ambassador of the Drawn Alliance, leaned forward. His reptilian features were unreadable, but his gravelly voice carried weight. "Luck or not, they succeed." Heron exhaled sharply through his gills. "Yes, but at what cost? They approach disasters like their playground games. Do you know what they told me about their plan to stabilize the sun? They called it a trial run. A trial run on a star." The room erupted in overlapping chatter, clicking mandibles, and fluttering wings. Garoth raised one massive claw, silencing the debate. "It is not our way to gamble with lives," he said, "but neither can we deny their results. Their intervention saved the Orlek Rift from cascading collapse. Their mining teams retrieved the Terra crystals after every other species deemed it impossible. And they single-handedly neutralized the Rexan plague when the coalition could only contain it. Humans are unconventional but effective." Frick's chittering voice broke through. "Unconventional? They detonated nuclear explosives on their own moon to test a theory. Is that the kind of decision-making we trust to stabilize a sun?" Orland gestured emphatically with his primary wing. "Even their history is riddled with self-inflicted catastrophes. The only reason they're here is that they're too stubborn to go extinct. And maybe that's exactly why they should handle this," Garoth countered. "Humans thrive under pressure. They adapt, innovate, and most importantly, succeed where others fail. If the coalition takes 10 years to plan, the sun will die in 9. If humans say they can do it, why stop them?" The room fell silent again, though this time the tension was electric. Finally, Heron turned to his personal aide, a young Ekkel named Jork, who had been quietly observing from the corner. "Summarize the human plan," Heron ordered. Jork hesitated before responding. "Their proposal outlines the deployment of a series of containment fields and fusion reactors to artificially sustain the sun's core. They intend to use a technique they call seeding." "Seeding?" Fricks interrupted. "That sounds ominous." "It involves injecting the core with exotic particles to reignite fusion," Jork explained. "They assure us it's safe." Heron frowned. "And if it's not?" "They mentioned contingencies," Jork said, visibly uncomfortable. "Contingencies?" Orland's feathers bristled. "And by that, I assume they mean explosions?" Jork didn't reply. The tension was interrupted by a chirping sound from Heron's communicator. He glanced at the display, his expression darkening. "They've arrived." A hush fell over the room. The door slid open with a hiss, and enstrolled Captain Marcus Kane, the human envoy, flanked by a pair of engineers carrying an assortment of tools and devices that looked suspiciously like they'd been cobbled together in a garage. Kane's expression was as casual as his unbuttoned uniform. "Gentlemen," he said, spreading his arms in a wide gesture, "thanks for letting us crash the party. Let's save a star, shall we?" The coalition representatives stared in disbelief. Heron spoke first, his tone sharp. "Captain Kane, this is a serious matter. Do you truly believe your team is equipped for a crisis of this magnitude?" Kane grinned. "Absolutely. In fact, we've already started." "What?" Frick squeaked. "Yep," Kane said casually, pulling a small device from his belt and tossing it onto the table. "Phase 1's already underway. We launched the stabilization probes this morning." The room erupted into chaos. "You launch probes into the sun without approval?" Orland squawked. "We figured you'd come around," Kane replied, unbothered. "Look, I get it. You're all nervous because you've got committees and protocols and 20-step risk assessments. But that's not how we do things. We see a problem, we fix it. Simple." "Simple?" Heron's voice rose. "If this goes wrong, the entire sector could be obliterated. And if we wait for you to debate every detail, the sector's gone anyway," Kane shot back. "You brought us in because we don't hesitate. This isn't our first rodeo, Commander. Trust us." The word trust hung heavy in the air. For all their unease, the representatives knew the truth. The humans had a knack for pulling off the impossible. Despite their unorthodox methods, or perhaps because of them, they always came through. Still, Heron wasn't ready to yield. "If your plan fails—" "It won't," Kane interrupted. "But if it does, we'll clean up the mess." "And if the mess is uncleanable?" Heron pressed. Kane shrugged. "Then we'll figure something else out. That's what we do." The room fell silent again, but this time, it wasn't confusion or anger that filled the space. It was a reluctant, grudging acknowledgement that the humans, maddening as they were, might actually be the best chance the Zarna system had. Heron sighed. "Very well, Captain Kane. Proceed with your unconventional approach. But be warned, the Coalition will hold you accountable for the consequences." Kane's grin widened. "Fair enough. Now, if you'll excuse me, we've got a star to fix." The room fell into an uneasy silence, each representative lost in their thoughts. The humans had defied every convention, ignored every protocol, and yet, against all odds, they had succeeded. Harkin's tail swished contemplatively as he finally broke the silence. "It seems we must adjust our understanding of what is possible. Perhaps there is value in this unconventional approach." Garoth nodded, his reptilian eyes reflecting the faint, flickering light of the star on the observation screen. "Humans thrive in chaos," he rumbled. "It is both their greatest weakness and their greatest strength." Fricks, still clutching his podium, muttered under his breath. "A weakness that could very well doom us all one day. But today," he glanced at the stabilized sun, its surface now calm and steady, casting a serene glow across the observation deck. "Today it saved billions." Orland fluffed his feathers in a gesture of grudging concession. "If nothing else, they have earned the galaxy's respect. Though I can't say I'll ever understand their methods." The conversation dwindled as the representatives continued to watch the stabilized star. The faint hope that had lingered earlier now began to grow, solidifying into a cautious optimism. On the screen, the human fleet could be seen withdrawing, their battered ships limping toward the Coalition flagship. The damage they had sustained was evident, but their resilience shone even brighter. As the humans prepared to dock, Captain Kane's voice crackled over the intercom one last time. "We're bringing the team back in. Give us a couple of hours, and we'll walk you through the final stabilization protocols." "Oh, and Commander Harkin," his tone was as casual as ever, despite the monumental effort just undertaken. "Next time you've got a star to fix, you know who to call." Harkin allowed himself a dry chuckle, the tension in his shoulders finally easing. Duly noted, Captain Kane. But I sincerely hope there won't be a next time. Kane's laugh echoed through the speakers. Hope all you want, Commander. The universe always has other plans. The line went dead, leaving the coalition representatives to digest the day's events. Slowly, they began to disperse, returning to their respective stations and delegations. Harkin remained, his gaze fixed on the now stabilized star. It was a quiet reminder of both the fragility and resilience of life in the galaxy. The humans had risked everything and emerged victorious, not through perfection, but through their unrelenting drive to succeed. As Harkin finally turned to leave, Garotha's deep voice stopped him. Commander, he said, perhaps this marks a turning point for the coalition. A lesson in the strength that comes from embracing diversity, not just in form, but in thought. Harkin nodded, his tail swishing thoughtfully. Perhaps, Garoth. Perhaps. Together, they exited the observation deck, leaving behind the stabilized sun, a testament to the extraordinary capabilities of an extraordinary species. The galaxy would remember this day, not just for the crisis averted, but for the indomitable spirit that made it possible.